Hello Eagles fans and welcome to the first episode of Coast to Coast for season 2026. Brought to you by Allianz, the official insurance partner of the West Coast Eagles. Allianz, care never gives up. What an absolute belter we have to kick off proceedings here for the year. It's an absolute honour and a privilege to be joined by the three Premiership captains in the club's history. Of course, I'm speaking of John Worsfold, Chris Judd and Shannon Hurn. So much greatness in the room at one time, and then myself. Plenty of ground to cover over a 40-year stretch, so we decided to split the episode up into two parts. So without further ado, let's get stuck in and bring in the flag captains. Gentlemen, welcome and thanks for taking part in the first potty of the year. How are we going?
Going very well.
Thanks for having us on.
Juddy appearance fee was we were able to just sneak it in and fly you in specifically for the event. So
just to cover costs, just to cover fuel and accom, which is a lot at the minute, Bung.
It's gone right up, hasn't it?
Fuel prices, but good to be back in the West.
Well, Bunga, I know the podcast and the concept of one is a bit lost to you, but maybe are you doing Lecker's fishing podcast and keeping abreast there?
No, well, I've seen he's got one now, but haven't been invited on there, so it's a bit disappointing. But maybe
got a studio.
I think he's using a studio.
He's
got
doing it
it
on
set
his
up.
boat or something.
I actually don't know. I've actually not seen one, so I think Thumper's helped out. But he's got a few people on there and a lot of blokes, mainly from WA. So he'll be happy that this is getting a shout out right now.
Juddy, I know your podcast history of late has been, financial advice or sort of leaning into companies that are in that space. Are you dropping any mad tips today for the?
No tips. I haven't done one of them for a little while, so I had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, haven't had a new potty for a little while. But I don't think we'll save the stock tips for another time.
Good idea.
Was that your own podcast?
It was, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I did that probably did it for 3 or 4 years, and get different farmers on and interview them. So it was
one a month or whatever.
It was 25 a year was the goal. So yeah.
Massive night for the footy club. We've got 40 years celebrating a crown, and we've got the 2006 reunion, Hall of Fame, and just going to be a familiar faces, left, right and centre. We're all looking forward to that event.
Yes, mate. We've got a few people that have flown in from interstate and overseas for the event from the 2006 crew. So Brett Jones, huge effort coming in to really just to be part of it from the States. Who else we got? Brent Staker's flown in from Sydney.
I reckon Ash Hansen's coming in today.
Yeah.
Couldn't twist Coxie's arm to rest coaching for the week?
Oh, well, they're flying. He could have absolutely come over. No worries at all. But I don't think he's going to enjoy the wave that he's riding at the moment, the big fella.
How proud are you or even surprised, Wish, of celebrating 40 years, particularly remembering the beginnings of this footy club, the nomadic start and sort of the troubles on and off field at the beginning?
Yeah, it's like to think it's 40 years ago is amazing. The different parts of my career sort of make it feel like it was only yesterday. Playing career, it was so long ago now from starting. But then rolling in back at the club as a coach and then back again now, to think it was 40 years ago is amazing. But starting out with, our first pre-season was just in plain Puma shorts. We had a Puma sponsorship, but we hadn't declared our name or colours yet. So we were just training in bland Puma kit. At Aquinas College until school went back in January and they kicked us out. So we had to go and find somewhere else to train. To think back to that, to now look at the facilities the club have got, and that's built on a lot of wonderful people contributing so much to the footy club over all those years.
Did you remind these boys how easy they had it compared to getting changed out the back of a ute for the property truck?
I'm sure they've heard that story many times. But yeah, I mean, even now what the players have and, my time back at the club now to see the value in a charter flight, the space and the more relaxed nature of that the players have when they're travelling. It makes a big difference from our days travelling where we were just crammed in, just normal public flights. People not happy with you putting ice packs on your quaddie halfway through a flight and dripping the water down the aisle. But it's different now. But we're very proud of what the club's built.
Even when you're coaching those early days, we'd still train at waffle venues for pre-season because you.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it? You couldn't get to Subi till sort of Feb, could you?
Yeah, that's right. We're down at McGillivray or a different waffle venue.
Even City Beach. We do fair bit of City Beach.
There we did, yeah. Got some good old vision at training at City Beach.
Yes.
I mean, that was about 120 metre long oval, City Beach, wasn't it? It was windy and like potholes. And
yeah. Cricket pitch covered in the middle.
Stewie Cormack and Glenn Stewart making us run up the hills there.
Yeah.
That was part of the sprints training.
And then St Mary's, we trained.
Yeah, we're there too. Yeah.
Pre-season sessions out there as well.
Yeah. So Woosha still kept us, like what it was back in the heyday. Yeah.
Where did you land in the Pluckaduck Waffle Club?
East Perth.
Right.
Yeah, the Mighty Royals. So
just randomly?
I think so. I think it was back then.
It was a reverse draft.
When I was living with Jeremy Hum, who was playing with East Perth, I'm not sure if
I think it worked out. Were they struggling at the time? The bottom Waffle Club got first pick of whoever West Coast and Fremantle had recruited from interstate.
I thought Nizzy was just pulling strings and getting him to the Mighty Royals.
The rules were that there was a reverse order draft and then Nizzy decided where they went.
Well, each week we're getting the fans to drive the questions, so it's Juddy, Bunga, Woosha answering them today. So it's joining the conversation, the stories that we want to hear told by them, and they want to know about your first impressions of the footy club. Coming over here from a different state, how'd you find it? Can you remember back that long ago?
Well, it's shorter for me than these blokes, but I can remember going down to training at Claremont and getting introduced to the club, which was quite intimidating because they come off the grand final the year before. Then Woosha standing there, looking like he had a smile but was being serious at the same time. But it was more probably the history of the club, and that's why the 40th anniversary and the 06 reunion is going to be great to attend and go to, because you didn't hear too much about it being in South Australia. You heard a little bit about it, but coming over here and very quickly learning about the history, how it started, the standards and the behaviours, I reckon, stood out on the footy track when I first came over. That was something quite impressive about what you need to be able to do to be a very good team.
Juddy, I heard that you were having a few rows of sports science. You're thinking, well, hang on, what do you mean I can't join in every drill and train as hard as I want to? And then I think one of the teammates said you went up to, maybe Woosha or sports science and said, who's the hardest trainer here? Let me emulate their program from the day.
Yeah, and I think I worked it out. I mean, I remember coming and just feeling like it was a big club from day one. Like I remember walking in to Hank Glode's property. He was the property manager or property steward at the time, and just a room full of Puma gear, and he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I'll get a pair of runners. He's like, give that, and one t-shirt. He's like, you can get whatever you want. It was just such an obscure thing when you're like, just endless access to free Puma clothes. And then I remember there was like a trestle set up for the new recruits to sit on, and people would come up and ask for your signature, and it just felt like the most ridiculous thing in the world. And it always sort of felt like that ever since, to be honest. So they were the first impressions. And then of actually getting into training. I mean, when I came to the club, there was still the remnants from the great 92, 94 era. So I got to play with Peter Matera for, I reckon, at least 1 year. I think 1 year. I got to play with Ashley McIntosh. Actually, I reckon I got two with Roo. Djakovic was still there. So that's sort of iconic players that you'd seen play. But I was also just lucky to have like a prime Ben Cousins, who would have been 24, who was obsessive with his training. And I think I've said a bit this week, but Ben never sat myself down or Curry down or the other young guys. This is how you prepare, but we could watch. And it was such a gift as a young player to come into a club like that and have a cultural hero who would train as obsessively, and not just that as precisely as Ben would. To have those guys when you first come in is just invaluable.
What are your recollections of your first interactions with Woosh coming over?
I remember speaking to Woosh in the lead up to the draft, and I was sort of playing a routine of trying to not get drafted to West Coast. And I remember,
do we want to elaborate on that a little bit or not?
Well, so I mean, it looked like it was going to be one of four teams, sort of Hawthorn, St Kilda, who had 2 picks in the top 6, Fremantle or West Coast. And Freo, if West Coast picked Graham Pollack. He was a local kid. He was a really top draft prospect. We're going to pick Barry Brooks from all reports. So there was a good chance to get to pick 5.
Whoops.
And so I remember, I can't remember if Paul Connors rang up and said not to draft me, or if I said, I remember you asking at one stage, do you want to come to West Coast? And I remember saying, no, I want to stay in Melbourne. And there's sort of this awkward pause, and Woosha just started to smile and nod. And I was like, I don't know, he's sort of trying to be half friendly, but also trying to say I could crush your throat. I could crush that larynx in the flick of a switch. So that were probably my early impressions, and Woosha was probably thinking, what's this cocky kid?
When we came to your house, you didn't have your parents part of our interview?
I don't reckon.
No, because a lot of players do. They have their parents there and sit down and have a chat. And Juddy was just on his own, flying solo. Like, I can handle these guys. So straight away we're going, all right, he is.
I've got my 3 o'clock, fellas. You got to be out of here. You got to.
Mum and Dad will have their ear to the door. We know that. They'll be listening, and we're going to be we're taking you. If you're there, we're taking you. Can you hear that? Yeah, so...
Did it put you off at all, or you just...
Nah, not at all.
So it didn't work?
No, because you're going to take the best kid there, even if they just said, oh, will not function at all in Perth, you go, yes, you will. We'll ensure that you will. So no, it didn't. I just started at West Coast and I'd just come out of Carlton. So I sort of had an idea what their thoughts were looking at. Talking to Shane O'Sullivan, so Shane was talking about the three main kids were obviously Borley, Hodgie and Juddy. Where was Carlton's pick that year? Do you remember?
I reckon that was in the salary cap era, so pick 60 or something.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They were just happy talking about the high picks and not thinking who they were going to get. That's probably why they were letting me know who they thought. I think. You never knew which way it was going to fall, but panned out all right.
Can you remember some of Woosha's sort of favourite pupils amongst the teammates, or maybe players that you were with that sort of got under his skin at the wrong time?
Woosha was pretty even. I don't reckon he played a lot of favourites. I reckon Bowie Waters was a bit of a favourite, and there were some similarities with how he played.
Attitude.
It was pretty even, Woosh. I wouldn't have said... I mean, I know you would have had favourites, but I wouldn't have said that there were clear, obvious ones that would always get the rub of the green.
That's good. Tell me about the mind games then, Woosh. I mean, we'll go through a few of them, and I'm sure these boys will remember a few of them as well without being prodded, but is this sort of something you adopted from Mick? Is this something you sort of came up with on your own, a bit of a sick, twisted way of,
Unfortunately, I thought they were quite funny, but I think they were sick and twisted when I reflect back now. But I do have a weird sense of humour, let's put it that way.
So a couple of the ones we've discussed on the show previous years have been the hot Gatorade, and then setting up the camera and seeing who would not drink the hot Gatorade, and then getting called out in team meetings. There was the beep test the morning of a NAB Cup game, which was a favourite of some of the players. You remember any of those?
Oh, I must have missed that. Did that happen in my era?
I don't remember that one, but...
remember the hot Gatorade? Remember that?
Yeah, I thought that was...
Yeah, you would have enjoyed that.
That was brilliant.
Do
you remember that?
It's like
when you the Gatorade.
We was told the trainer to set up the Gatorade. Look, it was a 40-degree day when you blokes were training.
I don't reckon. Was I there for that?
Yeah, you would have been, I reckon.
Was I? I reckon I missed that Gatorade. I remember that. I remember some of those training sessions where we would do a beep test or something, and then a time trial, and then another beep test or something. There was a couple of monsters there.
No, we had a session where it was just before Christmas, and they did this monster running session, and they thought, we're done, we're heading off for our Christmas break, how good's that? And I said, boys, you got 10 minutes, then we're doing that same session again. So it was like...
That was at St Mary's, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was at St Mary's.
That one. But I remember...
Well, there was a Jacob's Ladder one too that was...
Oh, no, there's plenty of them, yeah.
I thought you made them do a Jacob's Ladder or a beep test. And then they'd play they'd play a NAB Cup game that night or that afternoon.
No, I don't reckon the NAB game was involved in that.
Oh, right.
It was just about almost to death by the time we finished the...
Yeah.
Even just moments where you're bumping blokes around the oval when they're trying to do laps or their running sessions.
They're doing a 2K time trial around the oval, and when you're absolutely cooked in that last 600 metres or 400 metres trying to get the line, and you know your time, and and I'd go and bump them as in running. Or I'd stand on the line, they had to make a choice, go around me or bump me. I just wanted to see a reaction, or I'd throw a footy at them.
The footy. I remember you having the footy and
so
you were...
Johnny, they're gone, and then all of a sudden I'm throwing the footy at them to see if they just dodge it or...
But that was his favourites, because the favourites, he'd go, here you go. Here you go, Bowie.
He's a knife back spinning one as opposed to a drill.
Anyone else straight
I think I always used to bump Will Schofield because you knew you'd get a good reaction from Scully.
But you weren't sure whether you'd keep running or whether you turn around and get the footy because you knew you had your time.
Yeah.
And then we were all hoping, and Woosh's since come clean gone, he'd go to the fitness bloke and say, look, just take 5 seconds off his time because he had to stop, turn around and get to the line again.
Where do you stand on the pranks, Woosh? Because it's a bit torn between being, it could get out of hand or it could be a great bonding, experience for the boys. You had the fake scratchies in Andrew Embley's pigeonhole.
That was a cracker.
Where he thought he won tens and thousands of dollars. You've got car keys and vehicles being moved where people think they're stolen. There's a heap. There was the toilet paper. There's sending Michael Embley in for the photos at Carrinup Shopping Centre in full kit. Where did it stand?
What was the toilet paper one? So you just
it was the toilet paper bandit, remember? And that was doing the rounds on the news, and no one can figure out who it was, and everyone's car or area was getting toilet papered.
Yeah.
Still ringing bells?
I do remember. I wasn't always aware of what these boys were doing. I would hear it a bit like you later, but the Mick Embley one, I do remember hearing about that, and I thought that was quite funny.
Wait, was it Fletchy with the scratchy or Whack?
Whack got done.
Whack got done, but I think he was about to put down a deposit on a house because he was so he thought he'd won $100,000 and he's like, ring up a real estate agent. Then someone had to tell him.
check the back. Is that the fake thing, didn't it? Something like that. This is fake or something.
Yes. No, I wasn't. I'm not big on the pranks, as in they can often end in tears, but most of these ones were very safe. But blokes weren't put into too awkward positions, but the Mick Embley, he would have been walking around, where do you want me? Anyone looking for me?
Yeah. I think it was the very first camera phone too, so it is actually captured, which is even better. We're recording this at Mineral Resources Park, the new headquarters of the West Coast Eagles, but obviously such fond memories of Subiaco for all three of you, so let's discuss them a little bit. How sad was it sort of demolishing that, Woosh, from your point of view, sort of the beginning of it all?
It's... The fact that it's not there to even go and reflect on is a little bit sad. But you look at what WA Sport have now with Optus Stadium and what we have out here, it's a no-brainer. But it is different. Driving past Subi and it just, you don't really even recognise that the ground used to be there. So I'm not that sentimental. So I'm probably trying to make this up for you.
It's hard to imagine that you'd have 42,000 there stadium when you go past there. Like, have you been past there?
I have, yes. I'm becoming more sentimental as I get older. I go there every now and then. I'm here every few months. Yeah. And the same, it's just, the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, it's all gone. I knew most of it was gone.
Yeah.
But it's... that tiny little thing of the
visualise. Where was the 3-tier stand?
Yeah, and you're right. How did it fit? And it makes sense. Like, the new stadium's incredible, but there's a lot of good memories at Super.
Can you recall some of your favourite ones over time?
I'll go first if that's right. But our favourite one as coaches was watching every opposition team do their captain's run there. And their coaches stride out and try and work out how long is the ground. What's the gap between the 50 and the centre square? And we just sit there going, we're in their head already there.
And it was material though, wasn't it? It was about 15 metres longer, wasn't it?
It was long ground.
Which made the game different.
Yeah, it did. Absolutely it did. But watching them do that, we used to always have a little giggle. Yeah.
You'd have about 80 officers to choose from to spy on their trainings too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, Jeppy was popping up everywhere doing his spying.
I think the noise, I still remember the noise at some of those finals there. We have 40,000 people, 990 of them barracking for the one team, and they were wildly loud and electric, some of those night finals. And it's funny, some of the funny things that happened. We had a running race with Trev and we had a running race that the boys would bet on with ex-property steward, and what was Trev's role? He was sort of a trainer's assistant.
He was like an assistant property.
He was Hank's assistant, wasn't he?
Assistant property.
And so we ran a book on that, and and videoed it. And poor old Trev tore his hammy off the bone and fell and cracked 3 ribs. And Hank, I think, tore his hammy, but ended up
they both
winning.
would have been in their 70s. We're just going to state that they're both in their 70s, and they made them sprint and stop and pick up a bib. It was like an obstacle course for them. It wasn't just a straight run.
That's good. Some of the greatest footage. So that was a fond memory.
Could you go back now, Bung, after being here, in terms of the facilities and what's at your offer here?
Well, I think you could, but to the Subi days, because we got fortunate enough to play in the last game there, so that was quite special. Like, because I think we had to beat Adelaide by X amount just to get into the finals as well. We ended up winning. It was like 20 points, won by 24 points, so that was pretty cool. But to go back, like, it's all what you knew anyway, and then you know what is here now. But I didn't mind it because the thing that Woosha installed in us early is like 25 kilos is 25 kilos. If you're lifting it in state-of-the-art gym or somewhere, just out in the paddock or somewhere, it's 25 kilos. You've got to do the work. So
The facilities is never the thing.
No, it's never.
Is it? It's the cherry on top. It's less than 1% of the thing.
Yeah, and it felt. Can you say, when I say more football club, it felt quite close in a footy club type sense. So you do miss that, I reckon. So there are benefits of brilliant facilities, but that was one of the things I really enjoyed Subi. So for that point, I'd be happy to go back to Subi. Yeah.
One thing I thought you were going to say was maybe the welcome back party in 06, where you're wearing some of the sweetest shades of all time that have aged brilliantly. But the turnout of how many people fit into that stadium at the time was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was iconic. That was it was a serious morning or afternoon or whatever it was. But it's that was a huge turnout. That was one of the cool memories.
Yeah, well, that was first year was 06. So just being a young kid, you basically are along for the ride, seeing that and seeing the benefit of being a good team and what it's all about. But that was quite big back then, wasn't it? Like that 3 year period, like it was.
We were looking at some old photos of the grand final and aftermath, and in a few of them, you just see a young bunger in the background, just taking it all in, just like boys are like, and Bunga's like, you can just see him going, okay, this is what it's all about. Yeah.
With a bit more hair too, it was a bit more bird's nesty, no good. Yeah.
Well, it was the ultimate send-off for Subi because we got to bring the 2018 Cup back there until we made the move to MRP. Where did you two watch the grand final in 2018 and what were your recollections of the day?
2018, I was on Triple M calling, I reckon. So.
Parochially or no dog in the fight? How were you supporter-wise?
Parochial, and it was an iconic game, wasn't it? It was, it was one of the great grand finals and trying to stay balanced, but certainly hoping for the right result.
I was up in Broome. I turned 50 that year. My birthday's 25th of September, so it was very close to the grand final. So I was up in Broome with my family, and we all were going to watch it together, but members of my family dropped off when they got too nervous. They just couldn't watch it. So I think it ended up just me and one of my daughters hanging in there till the end. And I was pumped. I was coaching Essendon at the time. But obviously I'm allowed to barrack against Collingwood, as an Essendon coach. So definitely cheering the boys home. And obviously there was a lot of the boys playing that I had a lot to do with. So I was very proud of watching them achieve that.
No doubt. What was the Premiership sort of emotion like for all of you once it had all sunk in? And do you think the captaincy heightened the experience in any way?
It puts a bit more workload on you, a bit more responsibility. You've got to do a lot more interviews in the week leading up and post grand final. Let's hear from the captain when you're hungover and you're trying to make yourself sound like you're sensible and you've heard the question. And but the actual. I don't think on game day you're just playing your role, your normal role. Captain gets up first to get the cup, but really that's like you're just waiting for the boys to get around you. In my day, it was still on that tiny little dais that you could only fit 3 people on. So you would go up, and there'd be one guy presenting it and yourself and the coach, and then you had to get off and walk over to the playing group. So that was a bit different compared to what it is now when the boys all jump on and on stage. But for me, it was it's no different whether it's an AFL Premiership or a Waffle Premiership or an amateur Premiership. The reaction is the same. If you go and watch any team when that siren goes and they're the premiers, the feeling is exactly the same as a group of mates trying to achieve the ultimate and getting there.
You both subscribe to that logic?
Yep. It felt, because we played in 15 and then 3 years later, but yourself the year before. But it was a bit more like it was all those emotions and a bit of relief that done it. So like you said, when you're playing, it's you're playing. It's not about we need to win this or we're not going to win it. But right as siren went, your range of emotions probably within 10 minutes, of like, this is awesome, and thank Christ we got one.
So these two guys could only get them to limp over the line, so they had a bit of pressure on, whereas my teams...
We were entertainers, Bush. We wanted to be entertaining. We wanted to keep the eyeballs on the game. You know, people they were switching off in 92 and 94.
They did in 94, I reckon, but...
Well, from that, because Wooshie wanted the record taken off the 91 blokes.
From the...
Hawks. So West Coast kicked the first 4 against Hawks and then got done, right?
Yeah.
So West Coast had that record.
Yeah.
So we were just trying to look after Woosha,
right.
save face for him, and then let Collingwood kick the first 5, and then we'd come back from there.
Do you find it funny that all three of you eventually ended up losing a grand final before winning one? Whoosh, same as coach and playing.
Not funny, ha-ha. More like, ooh, that's annoying we lost that one. Yeah. But it felt like one... It felt like one match. Well, that was our perspective almost. That 05-06 grand final. It was almost like it was an 8-quarter match.
Yeah, and so really, it's who's in front at the end of the game. So we actually are better than Sydney.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They were in front at half time. That's right. We won at the end. So can you take Sydney's flag off them? And
I don't think you have to lose one to win one. There's something that creeps into the vernacular. I don't know if that's true, but. I think...
Did it help you though, Juddy?
I think there was some good experience. I mean, I think what helped was just there was such a rapid improvement between 04 and 05, and whether that improvement was enough to win it on the first shot or not, it wouldn't have mattered. I don't know that it helped, but I think if we had lost 2 in a row, I think that's when some demons can start to come in and you wonder if there's something amiss with the group. Whereas to lose the one in 05, in a close game where everyone rolled up the sleeves and let it all on the park, I think that was fine. But you start to wonder, if you lose another one, what if? And
it'd sneak in, wouldn't it?
There was just so much relief that didn't happen.
Yeah.
How'd you go playing a second half with a shoulder popped out in 06?
Wasn't ideal. So I hurt my shoulder in the third quarter. So I was reminiscing with Woosh the other day about this. But I used to... Most people would visualise positive stuff before a game, visualise kicking the winning goal or, taking a specky or playing really well. My pre-game visualisation was all around failure. I'd imagine losing the game for the team, pulling out a contest, kicking the ball out of all the things you didn't want to do. And I would finish with sort of saying to my mind, well, let's see what happens, almost. So the internal dialogue was quite tiring as the year went on. But it never panned out that I lost the game for the team. I was always able to, generally able to play well.
Yeah, maybe.
Generally able to play well. And then on grand final day, it's actually happening. I'm playing on Goodsy, not a lot of shoulder movement in the right shoulder, and he's just tearing up the second half. So that 45 minutes was the longest of my career, and I just remember just running him forward as much as possible because that just meant he was further away from his goals. So that was the objective of the last 45 minutes of that game for me. But it was a long one and an incredible relief when it was done and we'd hung on.
But you couldn't really use it, could you? Like your shoulder when it popped out?
No, I just kept popping in and out. For the rest of the game. So it was. And Goodsy's a pretty solid player.
Yeah.
So,
did he know? Was he targeting your arm?
He knew it was out, and then it popped back in. I came back on, and he just said to me, "You're right," and I said, "Yeah," and that was it. It was interesting because he would have been within his rights to sort of elbow it, and it was just going to keep popping out. So it was interesting those moments out on the field, and you see. And I wouldn't have thought less of him I would have thought this at the time. I would have understood because it's a contact sport and there's a vulnerability there. I know John would have been very sympathetic.
Did you ever ask someone if they were all right that you were playing on Wosh?
Yeah, I would have. Because if they said yes, I would have then made sure they weren't. How about now?
So that was interesting, yeah.
One of the fans have written in and said, who do you think will be the next West Coast Eagles captain? And you can't lock in Liam Baker, that's cheating, or Liam Duggan. You got an answer for that? Maybe Juddy from someone that's not inside the bubble?
Yeah, you're putting pressure on Bung and myself.
Yeah, that's where I'll go to Juddy then.
I'll go Harley Reid.
Very good. That brings us to the end of part 1 of the Premiership Captain's Chat. Make sure to tune in for part 2 next week, all brought to you by Allianz, official insurance partner of the West Coast Eagles. Allianz, care never gives up.